Good morning, gardeners. So I'm tucked back here in a little kind of corner of my garden. I have my loofah plants on one side, huge amounts of lemongrass behind me right here, but I wanted to talk about something that's a little harder to see, but it's my Job's Tears plants. These guys are right here. They almost have kind of a bamboo look to them, if you can see that just a little bit. They blend quite a bit with the lemongrass, so it's a little hard to see. These guys aren't a super showy ornamental plant, but they're really, really cool to grow in your garden for a couple reasons. The first is this guy is considered an herb, a grain, and a vegetable, depending on how you prepare it, because it is an edible plant. It gets these little tiny grains on here. I'll pick one off. Little tiny. They come in different colors depending on what type of Job's Tears you get, but these are really interesting and they're really fun to harvest. They have kind of a barley flavor to them, so if you wanted to remove the hull and cook them, they're a delicious grain to have at your dinner table. They're also kind of a corn type leaf, so it looks a little bit different in the garden. They get a little bit tall, not super tall, so you can tell here. At the ends are where these little grains come off of. They grow almost similar to a wheat where it's on the end. You can also use these guys as a filler in a cut flower because, as you can see, they have this kind of interesting shape, these really interesting shaped leaves, so they can really fill in between your plants really nicely and they last really well. The grain is gluten-free, so if it's something that's important to you to not have gluten in your diet, this is a great grain to grow and harvest. But my personal favorite part is to use these as an ornamental piece, so use them as jewelry. I've been harvesting these all summer. These plants are about done now. Most of the little grains have already been removed from them. But once you remove them, this particular variety comes in a whole bunch of colors. So as you can see here, you get these little grains off. There's a whole bunch of them, and then you can take them to someone who is good with jewelry and they can drill them out and make these guys into ornamental beads for you. So you can actually grow your own jewelry in your garden. These are a really fun, interesting, unique variety. So if you're looking for something that maybe isn't quite as showy but doesn't need a lot of space and can fill in kind of the middle ground of your garden so it still gets some sunlight without being completely overshadowed by something like this lemongrass, you want to give it at least 8 hours of sunlight, which this guy's barely getting now that everything else is so big. But this is a terrific plant to try. It's really interesting. It'll bring a lot of interest to your garden, especially if you like showing it off to other people. So highly recommend. Again, Job's Tears. Grow your own grain and your own jewelry.